Welcome to Lemonade Show.
We'll review how many violins Heng Li destroyed in the course of making this piece.
And then they sort of like passed by and it's like... And then I remember there was this, I was doing this in the practice room and then like one of the violinists came by and then it's like, she looked so shocked. And then she was like... And then she just went out of the room.
This is Making Lemonade. Welcome to Making Lemonade, the show about the lives of musicians in Singapore and their performances that have changed their lives or were just plain sour. I'm Lemon Wayne and... Hey! Stop making lemonade. Okay. Just put down the knife, okay? I'm gonna... Stop now. Okay. Heng Li is here today. Okay. Heng Li is an undergraduate composition student at the Yong Siew Toh Conservatory of Music. He's currently working on orchestral arrangements for the band Impact and on a multidisciplinary project that sheds light on life, love, and death. We'll be interviewing him about a violin piece he composed and performed called Transformations. Welcome, Heng Li.
Thank you, Lemon Wayne.
Okay, so Lemon Wayne wants to perform for you. I'm gonna do an impression of what Transformations was like. Okay.
We'll be looking forward to it.
Okay. How's that?
It's great.
Was that a accurate representation?
I'll say you are missing a few parts. Like when you stab it, you're supposed to like stab everywhere instead
stab
of like
everywhere?
the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
you're
god,
supposed to
making a
tear
mess.
the loaf out as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We should. What do you do with the violin after you destroy it?
So
Do you eat it?
I recycle it. Yeah.
You recycle it, really?
No, I'm just kidding. I just threw it away.
So for our audiences, let's get to know Heng Li a little bit better with 8 rapid fire questions. Are you ready, Heng Li?
Oh, always ready.
Okay, cats or dogs?
Cats.
Most hated instrument?
No most hated instrument.
Okay, good answer. Scissors for hands or yo-yo for fingers?
Yo-yo for fingers.
Go clubbing or to a candlelight classical concert?
Candlelight.
Gardening or flower arrangement?
Flower arrangement.
Peanuts or pistachios?
None for both.
Don't like nuts, okay.
Yeah.
Be a hammer or a nail?
Hammer.
Between you and me, who do you think can hold their breath longer?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Who won that one? I don't know.
I think I won. Yeah.
You won? Okay, of course. The guest of course wins.
Yes.
Okay. So, don't like nuts. Tell me about that.
Well, for the longest time when I was like young, I had peanut butter with bread for breakfast almost every day. And you just grow to hate it when you just eat the same thing for every day.
Oh, you ate it every day.
Every day.
Heng Li's mom, what are you doing? Why was he eating peanut butter every day?
Now I'm eating char siu rice every day.
Oh, are you gonna hate it too?
I don't know. It's kind of nice.
I see. Is that your favorite food?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite food, but it's delicious enough that I can probably eat it for every day for a long time.
Okay, so you said you have no hated instruments,
Yes.
but I saw like extreme violence towards a violin. What was that about?
So, well, the thing is, we kind of see like, in the past, guitar players, right? They also like smash their guitars on stage.
Yes.
There's like a kind of like performative act sort of thing. But it's not like as though they hate the guitar.
That's
as an
true. That's
instrument,
a
right?
good point.
So in a way, like because I was a violin player in the past as well. Like I was a violin major. back
So you
when
are
I was-
entitled to do that, lah.
Yeah, I have
feel
the-
entitled.
I feel entitled. I have the right.
I see. So it's like, okay, so you're taking the cues from someone like, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix or someone that's smashing the guitar.
Yeah.
And so what is it about it? Like, what is it, this performative element that you were thinking about while doing this?
So, okay, first and foremost, right, like the sort of most first reason for me to like think of this idea of like, sort of destroying the violin, it sort of stems from like, this desire to
Angst.
destroy
Oh.
an instrument. You know, don't you have that as
The
well?
desire
sometimes?
to destroy instruments.
Like sometimes you just look at an instrument, just like, wow, you know, you have to take care of it. And just like sometimes you just
Yeah,
think like,
yeah, yeah.
you know, what if I smash it? That kind of
Because
thing.
like, you know, like for the audience, like when you are growing up and then you're learning music, it's always take care of the instrument, you know, take care, put it in the box. Then you have all these different cases for all these different instruments.
And then you have to like put like dehumidifiers in it, and then you have to take care that it doesn't go in like out in the sun.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
Like that.
I used to play the clarinet. Then you have to swab it every time. Wow, it takes so long to swab the instruments. The string players have it good. Like don't have to clean all the insides of the instruments,
Hey, we have to maintain the violin strings.
but you have to like rosin.
yeah, we have,
Change the changing the strings is annoying also. 'Cause,
yeah,
like,
that's very annoying.
It's also expensive.
And every time you're tuning the E string, will it break?
Will it?
Will it break?
Oh really? You have the experience also.
Yeah, every time I always turn it away from me before I
Oh
tune.
my god, dude! Like, cause I play guitar, right? Then the E string is also especially if you have like a thin string, it snaps quite easily. So
Yeah.
it's more than once that I've just newly strung the guitar, and then like when I was tuning it, then suddenly
It's just.
I was like, oh shit! Now I have to buy another
Yeah.
set.
I don't think I ever had that sort of like trauma until
Oh.
it actually happened. I was like, nah, I'm never doing it again.
It happened to you once.
Yeah, it happened to me. It hit me on the arm.
I was like,
Yeah,
Bad.
it's like, pyak. And I
Bad.
was like, oh.
yeah, I when it broke, I think it poked me. Like it went in. It went in.
Oh, you
I
went
think.
in.
But actually, breaking strings is quite natural, quite normal.
Oh.
For I don't know if you play too much. So this like desire to like destroy the instrument, this stem from all these experiences that you had.
Yeah, it kind of stemmed from like, you know, having to take care of like this precious little thing. And then as you practice it, and then, you know, you don't sort of like get to play it well, even though you practice a lot. And then you sort of have
so
that
you
frustration.
build up the resentment.
I mean, it's not really resentment kind of thing, but it's more of like, you know, this idea of like, you know, don't you have that feel like when you enter like mud, and then you just
Mud.
like, oh, you imagine you have a bed and then you can like smash everything around it. That's sort of like
You sound like
very raw desire.
you sound like you have a really a lot of secret repressed desires to destroy things.
No such thing. No such thing. I'm sure some of you out there have that as well. You know, I'm watching you. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
okay,
it sort of stemmed from like that desire. Then I was like thinking, you know, why not I just do this? It seems kind of fun, right? Then along the way, I spoke to my professor during that time, who was Martin Yagi, right? And he was like telling me, oh, you can't just go ahead and like smash a violin, you know, like some people will take like offense to it, and like the violin is also like a symbol of like music making, you know, especially in like the Western music context, right? So it's like a symbol,
Yeah.
and you doing that is kind of like
It's like
making a huge
sacrilegious.
yeah, exactly, it's sacrilegious, right?
Yeah.
And also because if you do that like as a one-time act thing, and it's over, some people can take it as like a joke, and it's like kind of funny kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So he's like telling me all of these things. I'm just like, do I really want to still just like smash the violin? So
Yeah, but you did it.
yeah,
Anyway.
as in it's not smashing the violin in one go. It's more of like a process.
Yeah, you turned it into a piece of music, right?
Yeah.
But actually, there were other pieces like that, like the Fluxus movement days used to like destroy. Fluxus is a movement in I think it was the 60s or 70s. All this like performance art. They would like destroy the piano.
Yes.
The score just says destroy the piano. Then you just go and destroy the piano. Okay.
Oh, okay. But the thing about that is it doesn't seem to have like very specific like instructions or like methods of like how we want to go about destroying it. But then for the piece that I wrote, it has very specific instructions, specific processes that you have to go through. So it's so that as you go along the piece, it increases in intensity until the very end, where you sort of sledgehammer the violin.
Oh, is that, okay,
Yeah.
spoiler alert. Okay, so can you walk the audience through like what is this process of development in kind of like musifying a destruction of an instrument?
So, right. So you mentioned a very interesting word, musifying it, right? So the process of like trying to discover what sounds the process of destruction towards the violin can make, there comes a lot of experimentation.
Yeah.
And during the process of experimenting, right, you have to be very careful on like planning what you want to do, because some types of destruction is not reversible. Like for example, if I use my screwdriver and I puncture a hole in the violin body, the hole is there permanently, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's only so many holes you can make on the violin before like the entire
The structural integrity of it breaks.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to start with like very small actions. Like for example, like use the knife and like cutting the the bread, I was cutting the violin. Yeah, so that it doesn't like
so you can't like go all out at the start. Like
exactly.
you can't use the sledgehammer at the start and just destroy
you
it.
can't do that. Then because after you sledge it, you're just like, okay, I have that
There's
one
nothing
now.
left.
There's nothing left. You can't experiment and you have to buy a new violin.
I see.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, so like should I ask this question now? We'll review how many violins Heng Li destroyed in the course of making this piece. So as a musician, right, I don't know how much experience you've had with these tools that you use. They're mainly kind of the things you will see in like a D&T workshop, you know, those kind of things. So was it difficult to firstly find the tools, and also how did you think of them, and what did you use?
Okay, so some of the tools, they involve like, you know, knives, saw, drill, sledgehammer, screwdrivers, well, nails, screws, this kind of things, right? So how I sort of went about it, I had to think about like how much destruction, you know, these tools will place on the violin itself, right? So like I think about like, okay, if I have like those kitchen knives and stuff like that, they wouldn't, like, as long as you don't
minimal damage.
Yeah, it will minimal damage kind of thing, right? But then if you have like a saw, it's like whoop, oh, you know, that goes like a part of the violin. Yeah, or if you use the screwdriver and bam, it sort of disappears and everything. So how I thought about like the tools, right, is I sort of rank it in terms of like how much
destruction,
how destructive it can become. Yeah, so I was thinking like, okay, we sort of like proceed from like the smaller types, you know, like screwdrivers and like the kitchen knives, up towards like the saw. Then we have the drill, and then we have the sledgehammer.
That was a big moment.
Yeah. So like it goes in. So as the piece progresses, that like the intensification,
the intensity increases. Were the things that you chose just things that you had around, or was it really like you thought about maybe the sound of what happens to the instrument and different types of interactions with the instrument?
So yeah, I thought about like what sort of sounds there could be from using the tools. So I think about like what materials are these tools made out of. Like, for example, the kitchen knife and the saw, the screwdriver, they are sort of made from like that more metallic parts, correct? So they will produce like more cohesive timbre of sound.
Maybe brighter sound.
Yeah, exactly. So like in terms of like, I group them in sort of like that manner as well. So then they will produce like a
family of sounds.
Yeah, a family. Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at a little bit of transformations now. Wow, I didn't know you had that in you. You have like such a violent streak. So, I think some people were like quite taken aback by your actions to attack the violin.
Yes.
Was that something that you had to deal with in like the aftermath?
Surprisingly, no. I didn't have to deal with this during the aftermath of it. Rather, I have to deal with it in the process of composing the piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because as I was writing the piece, right, like I have to go along with like rehearsals and like, you know, start like destroying it and stuff like that. But I have to do that in the practice rooms, right? So because I'm doing it in the practice rooms and like,
Yeah.
you know, musicians.
Surrounded by people who love the violin.
Exactly. And then they sort of like pass by and it's like. And then I remember there was this, I was doing this in a practice room and then like one of the violinists came by and it was like, she looked so shocked.
Oh.
And then she was like, and then she just went out of the room. And she didn't even question like whether it's like her time to practice in it. She just left the room. And
she booked the
never
room,
said-
but she never came back.
Yeah, she never came back. And I think it was quite
It was
funny.
too traumatic for her.
Yeah, because I remember like the violin was like in like tatters and stuff like that already.
Ah.
And then like me and Noah,
Yeah, his
we were-
collaborator.
Yes, we were like wearing knife-proof gloves and we were like holding knives and saws and then
Oh
we
my
were
God.
wearing a mask and like safety goggles.
Yeah.
So like when she entered the room, we just looked at her. I think that just
Maybe she was just fearing for her life.
yeah, maybe, and for her instrument too.
Oh, so okay, so that brings us to, yeah, I heard that like every rehearsal you destroy one violin.
Mm.
Is that true?
Not really.
Okay.
Because the piece itself, it has increased. It goes in increasing intensity, right? So like the level of destruction to it increases step by step. So for the first one or two rehearsals, we actually tried not to like utterly destroy the violin yet.
I
So
see.
like we do like more of the cutting actions or like the puncturing actions.
That's smart.
So rather than you know, straight up breaking it and like going through the entire piece. Then
yeah.
towards the end of the
Closer to the end of the rehearsal process.
yeah, exactly. Then towards the end of the rehearsal process, we just went all out to like do our dry runs and every
see.
dry run is just one violin, one violin, one
So how
violin.
many violins did you destroy?
I think including the ones I used for experimenting,
Okay, yeah, everything.
I think I used around like 5 or 6 violins.
I see.
Yeah, and then that's excluding one for the final thing itself.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
How much did that cost?
I'll say roughly 600 to 700.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait. You told me it's $1,000.
Yeah. But then that's excluding like the
All the
cost
equipment.
of the equipment. Exactly.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, wow. Okay, so for those who don't know, a student at YST gets a stipend every semester of about 1,200, something like that.
Yeah, around there.
So Heng Li spent $1,000 on this piece, and I was wondering, like, what was the motivation for you to actually spend so much on that piece?
Okay, so the motivation stems from me wanting to carry it out, right?
see.
So because I know already for a fact that if I want to do this, I'm definitely going to spend money, right?
Yeah.
So I have to think about, okay, I need to set a limit for how much money I'm going to spend. If not, I'm just going to keep spending and my wallet will
Explode.
just not explode, it will just disappear.
It will disintegrate.
Yeah. It will just disappear from existence. So I thought about like how much each violin will cost. Not the super low grade kind, because the violin that I have to use, they are full size violins and they have to be a certain quality as well. If not, you know, it will just be like plastic violins and
Yeah.
you not be able to like cut the violin at all because they will put like so much varnish on it.
Oh,
and
really?
stuff. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
exactly. So you have to hit a certain standard for it.
I see. I was
So
wondering
yeah.
why you didn't like buy those like very, very cheap ones.
No, because I tried before and it
I
just
see.
didn't work out. Yeah.
Was anything else difficult about this piece besides having to spend a lot of money, or maybe the composition process, or like what was a difficult point?
I think what was difficult is being able to justify like strongly for why you wrote this piece and why you spent the $1,000 to write this piece. So the very first meeting, as I mentioned just now, with my professor during that time, he told me like, you know, you have to think about this more, you have to think about this deeper. There can be many layers to this project that you're doing, and he thinks that it would be a great idea if you can pull it off. So I went home, I went to type like an entire essay to justify like why this is going to be a good project, and like it has many layers of thoughts that comes with it. And I presented it to my teacher during that time, and he said, "All right, let's just go for it," you know.
Yeah.
And then I was just started to write the piece, and like
Yeah.
sort of stopped thinking about like how I want to justify it, because I already thought about all that.
That sounds a bit like you're writing, you want to buy some kind of present. I mean, you want your parents to buy you some kind of present, and you write them an essay like, I need this because.
Yes.
Okay, so I think you really made the best of the situation. And when life gives you lemons,
Make lemonade.
make lemonade.
Hey.
Cheers. Okay, we come to the part of the show where we want to get a little bit more personal. If anything was like challenging or difficult emotionally during the process of this piece, was there anything that you found was like very hard in that sense?
Okay, so during the time when I was writing this piece, right, I remember it was when COVID hit, and there was a lot of restrictions placed upon us as students in uni. So like I was separated from my friends, and because I wasn't very used to like how like the COVID restrictions will place a toll on my lifestyle. Like I didn't realize there would be so much stress that comes with it. And I remember like when I was writing this piece, it was like it was a very stressful environment I was placed in, and I felt like I was very alone.
Okay.
Because like I was separated from all my friends, we cannot meet anyone.
Yeah.
And yeah, so during that time when I was writing this piece, I was like very secluded. I had to think by myself, and I have to go through a lot of like the act of like experimenting and like going through a lot of like this destructive act can be a bit destructive for yourself as well.
Okay.
Because like you are imposing a lot of violence on an instrument, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to like release that stress at the same time, and sometimes you lose sight of what you're doing, and then you're just like, oh, there goes the violin.
I see.
Kind of
So it was
thing.
kind of like a stressful time, personally and also in writing the piece as
Yeah.
well. So do you have any upcoming shows or things to share with the audience?
I'm writing this orchestral arrangement, right? Like I mentioned just now for Impact.
Yeah.
I think their act will be coming out sometime in September or
Okay.
October. You guys can check them out. They are called Impact.
IMPACT.
Yes.
Okay, so we've come to the end of the show. This has been Making Lemonade. Join us next time for more musicians in Singapore.
Cheers.